What's up, guys? I'm back with another video, and today I wanted to talk about Dark and Darker's AP system for this season's High Roller rankings. Now, I don't really like how they've done this whole change, right? Now, if you don't know, honestly, if you didn't even play last season, you wouldn't really understand why people are pissed off. I mean, the Discord and the Reddit is tearing fucking shit up. You've got hardcore fans not really enjoying the high roller grind, and the low end, even us middle of the road or even lower end players, low gear score players, we're not really enjoying the new rules. If you don't understand what's going on, high roller is basically a harder, faster, and more costly version of the game in terms of the gear that you have to bring in. And if you don't know, you have to bring in at least 225 gear score in order to play the game, into the high roller lobbies, and try out the high roller version of the game. So you have higher gear players and you have harder enemies along with the harder bosses and sub bosses. So it's very punishing. If anyone, which I saw that some people on my old video, one person even said they played before, a version of the game I even played. Like, they played on, like, the fucking early version of the game that I never even played. It's very interesting because this game used to be harder, and people actually used to, kill the PvE in the game, but now people just run away from it. And High Roller is much more of a taxing experience. It's much more of a grind, and there's you go from basically a noob all the way to demigod, and the grind is like 26,000 or something like that AP. I may be wrong. I'm not looking at the numbers here, but the whole high roller grind, the reason why people do this is for skins and emotes. Sorry for stop recording. I wanted to turn on the game so I could show you guys with a little bit more visual. So we're going to load up in here into my character, which is the Grum Reaper, a fighter. I got Warlock, Barbarian, Rogue. Like I said last video, I used to main Rogue, but I've always been a fighter fan. So you go to the leaderboard, and this is basically your high roller experience here. Like, this is your ranking. So you start at Neophyte, and you work your way all the way to Demigod. Now, Demigod, I've only ever made it up to Exemplar. And I've currently, I think, got about 200 to, 250 hours into this wipe alone. And you can see it's 21,000, not the 25 I said earlier. It's 21,000. The big thing, though, is that there's an entrance fee. So whenever you go into the dungeon, it subtracts it from the AP that you earn in-game in your high roller match. And they've significantly reduced the entrance fee, which for me is great, because now I can go in, and if I die, it's not, setting me back 3 levels or 3 or 4 matches. That was kind of the frustrating thing about the AP system from last season, was that I would grind, have a perfect run of 7 matches, get all the way up to Voyager 2 after Pathfinder 3, and all of a sudden someone would kill me and it would knock me back down to Pathfinder 1. Or hell, it could even fucking put me back to 2. Sometimes I would go to Exemplar 2 and I would get dropped down to Voyager 1. It was very annoying. It was aggravating because, you got PvPers who just bum rush your spawn. But at the same time, I think the rules that they have changed is monsters earning AP through killing monsters, opening chests, and escaping dungeons. That, I think, escaping the dungeon is still, it still allows AP to be earned. I mean, that's the only thing that is positive. It's much more of a PvP game with High Roller now. I think you get 100 for killing a player, which isn't really that. I mean, that basically sanctions the game off. from a PvP VE or PvE VP game into a PvP centric mode. And if you know as much as I do, if you played the game for a while, High Roller has the most Giga Juice people in it. And this game has always had problems with class balance and gear. Gear disparity is a major issue with games like Dark and Darker. Gear games, I've never really been a fan of them until I played Dark and Darker. Because people, they will min-max the shit out of their stuff, and they will shit on you even though you have good stuff. At least, decent stuff, Stuff that, your best kit, you feel like you can probably take on a 1v2 because it's so good. I mean, it's barely enough to handle one person in High Roller. I'm just going to be honest, because everyone's running the meta. They're min-maxed. I mean, their stuff is just giga juiced. So AP, the whole problem with removing killing monsters is that you can't just grind monsters. You now have to grind bosses and replace the grind that you did last season with enemies. And now you have to grind bosses. And if you're like me, I haven't spent a lot of time on bosses. The only one that I've actually been able to kill that I've soloed is Cyclops. And I know that some people are going to, spout skill issue. I'm sorry, but, for me, with this game, it's frustrating sometimes to play. I don't really want to grind it out that much, in terms of one part of the game, which is the bosses. When I've got PvP, learning weapons, learning how to, do my gear, how to optimize my kits, how to do the marketplace and try to figure out what sells and what doesn't. You've got like a lot of other stuff. Killing bosses is maybe 5% of the game. On the high end, though, I imagine that number changes a lot. I feel like bosses on the higher end of the game, in High Roller or, in above 124 gear score lobbies, I guarantee you killing bosses is a lot more important. But for people like myself, who rarely goes down to hell, it's basically mandatory that you go down now, because if I'm not mistaken, you get like 100 AP just from going down into the dungeons. Like going down, taking a red extract, red portal, or not red portal, a red extract, a red gate. So it's basically, if you want to grind this season out and get the rewards, you have to go down. At least if you want to get the campfire, which I forgot to mention, the campfire is exemplar. So it's usually a special skin for a campfire that is right under Demigod. Demigod, I think it's always different with Demigod. It's not like Pathfinder and Exemplar and Voyager, where it's pretty static what it's gonna be. Usually Pathfinder, I think for the past few seasons, yeah, Pathfinder's been like a race skin, the Whittling Hope, which is a motion, and then the campfire right here. Let's go see. Yeah, it was bottle skins, your potion skins. So yeah, I mean, it's been pretty. I guess Voyager, they changed it up. They gave it a torch the one before the one that I played. Let's go see. It was a sleeping bag. So if you got Demigod back in season 1, you got cloak skins. That's interesting. Makes it a little bit more of a grind. But, so I would recommend probably either waiting, if you're like me. That was horrible. Okay, so the game just hates me now all of a sudden. Yep. Yeah, the game just... That's kind of goated. Hold up. That's kind of good. We're gonna put that on the auction house later on. Good God. If you're like me, man, you're probably just gonna wait for them to revert it. I don't think so. I don't think that they're gonna keep it the same. I think they're gonna mess with it a little bit more. And I hope so, because I don't necessarily think that the way that it is currently, it's benefiting the 5 to 10% of the game. of the player base that is just goated, and their stuff is all optimized. They've got the best stuff, so they're gonna be able to kill. Even though there's really good players out there, their gear is just, the gear disparity is gonna be too high, and their skill level is just insane compared to the average person. I don't know. I worry that this has taken away the ability for casuals to grind the season. I mean, I consider myself a casual for the most part, and I got Exemplar last season, and it was a grind then. It was aggravating because people like PvPers are just, they're out for blood on this game. Anyways, guys, I love you guys to death. I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace out.